go a little something like this.
Welcome to Talk About Your Period, the podcast where we do just that, talk about periods. I'm your host, Karen Daubert, and each episode I speak with fellow menstruators about how their menstrual cycle has impacted their lives. In a world that tells us to hide our pads and tampons, we're speaking out together to end the stigma. No one should feel ashamed to talk about their period. After all, it's just blood. I am so excited to be here with one of my very close besties today, Paula Pineda. Paula, thank you so much for being here today.
I'm so excited to be here with you, Karen.
Yay! I know, we've been talking about this for a little while, and I really appreciate you, supporting me behind the scenes with my idea. And I'm just really excited to get to know you on, a deeper level today.
A menstrual level.
On a menstrual level, exactly right. So Paula and I have known each other for a really long time. We're both English educators, and we both had the opportunity to teach in Taiwan together, and it was an absolute blast. And it's just really funny because I remember in college, we saw each other every now and then. I remember eating lunch with you while you were doing your student teaching, and I was doing some, teacher training at the same time in a slightly different class. And I would have never imagined that at that time that both of us not only would be so close in the future, and then in addition to that, live in Asia together and teach in Asia for a while. It's just so funny looking back on that. And it's just, I'm so happy that you're here with me today. And I'm so glad that, our friendship has just gotten stronger every year.
I know, I'm just happy that our friendship was able to blossom too, from college to your wedding to Zachary to then meeting again, the three of us in Taiwan has just been so incredible. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah. I know, right? I would have never guessed. Now, Paula, like I said, is an English educator, but right now you're a lead manager at a women's shelter. Is that correct?
I'm a lead shelter assistant at a shelter that services women and transgendered folks. So we service anyone who falls under transgender, non-binary, questioning, transitioning, all of those kind of realms, and people who identify as women.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see you step into this line of work. Paula is so good with people. She was at the boarding school we taught at together in Taiwan. She was a dorm parent, and so I've seen her work with students, and she's just an absolutely exceptional person. So I know that you're just thriving in this new career path.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course. Well, Paula, I'm so excited to get started today and talk a little bit about your menstrual cycle and just learn another side of you that, I don't really know much about your past and your past experiences with menstruating. Like I said before, this podcast is all about just normalizing period experiences for everyone. Everyone has a different experience with their period. Some people, they have a really negative experience with their period. Sometimes that evolves into a more positive experience. And some people have just had a pretty neutral or positive experience the whole time. So I think just talking about all the stories, good and bad, will really just create a community of people who menstruate and feel comfortable sharing their experiences. So I appreciate you being here today so we can talk about that.
Yeah, of course. Let's normalize it and talk about our periods.
Perfect. Yes, talk about our periods. Before we begin, I just wanted to say to do not use this podcast as medical advice to treat any medical condition in either yourself or others, including but not limited to patients that you're treating. I'm not a doctor. We may offer information based on our own experiences, but this is not medical advice. Please consult your own physician for any medical issues that you may be having. All right, Paula, I am so excited to dive in with you today, and I always like to start at the same place, and it's just a way for me to get a good sense of, in general, your feelings about your period or, the period experience as a whole since the time you started menstruating to now. So if you could describe your relationship with your period in one word, what would that be?
Standard.
Standard. Okay, I like that. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, I feel that I have been very lucky and blessed by the period gods, that my period never is more than the 3 to 5 range. I don't experience excruciating pain. I've never had, that I can remember, maybe I blocked them out, horror stories with my period. It's pretty reliable and consistent, and it's just kind of another thing I tick off on my day-to-day. It's oh, period's here, check, and I just move on with my life.
Heck yeah, man, you are so lucky. But I feel often we don't talk about periods at all in our society. It's getting better, but we don't hear a lot of period stories. But when we do, I feel like sometimes we only hear about the extreme cases, either inconsistent periods or extreme amounts of pain. And those stories are absolutely need to be heard and need to be visible so that people can be more aware that people are really suffering on a day-to-day basis from this. But I do think that because of that, we don't often hear about people who actually have a pretty okay time with their period. So I'm glad that you're able to share that experience. I'm happy for you. Like, that's so good. And I can say for myself, mine was really rough at the beginning, but I think I would consider mine pretty standard now too, which is nice. It's just kind of something that comes along, and I just move on with my day, and I do what I can to take care of myself during that time, but it's not a big deal breaker in my life. So I'm glad to hear that that's how it is for you. That's really, what a relief. Do you know, like, everyone else in your life, when you were growing up in particular, did they have a similar experience to you, or were you around people who had really difficult periods?
It was never talked about amongst me and my girlfriends growing up. It was kind of something that we hid away, something that we always knew. So we always had like extra menstrual products for each other, but we never like talked about our flow, the pain, the cramps, unless they were going through an intense cramping episode. Like if I was having a sleepover and suddenly my friend is like balled over and she needs a heating pad because her period came early, like that's the most we've ever talked about it. And I just wish that we had a better chance to do that growing up. It's like I had no idea what was going on with her. I was kind of, any friend who's going through that kind of pain, you're kind of like, whoa, what is going on? Especially at 13, you're like, that's not happening to me. Like, is my period normal? Are you okay? Are you normal? Like, and it's all normal. We just didn't know.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I haven't thought about that before, like witnessing a friend go through intense amount of period pain, and maybe if you haven't experienced that before, being like, what the heck's going on? Like, am I normal? Are you normal? I like how you put that, because I think at that age we're always trying to fit in every way, and so it's almost like, wait a second, like if they're in pain, am I supposed to be in pain?
Yeah, exactly.
Is mine wrong?
I felt like I was missing out on something. Like, why doesn't mine hurt like that? And years later, the cramps would come. I just, young Paula didn't know what was in for her back then.
Oh, that's really funny. Oh my gosh. I think that's another reason why, it's so necessary that we talk about these things, because hopefully we can have a ripple effect in younger generations. They can feel more comfortable talking to each other, just so that everyone can feel more united in their experience, even if the experiences in menstruation are diverse from person to person, just understanding that it's normal enough for us to all talk about. And so we don't feel so alone in our experience. It's so funny to think that not being in pain and witnessing others in pain would almost make you question if you were normal or not.
Yeah, I'm like, body, are you doing this right? Like, because all these other girls are doing this. Like, what are you doing?
Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, that really makes me wonder for you then. So I want to go all the way back to the beginning. And is there a memory that sticks out in your mind about the first time you ever heard about periods?
My first period, I have a very vivid memory of. But when it comes to learning about periods, like all girlies who were born in the 90s, our mom came into our room one day and handed me that white covered book, all about your body, or me and the body, or whatever it's called, with the girls in the towel and you know which one I'm talking about.
American Girl.
Yes. Handed me that book, and she was like, I know you like to read, so if you have questions, or something along those lines. She never sat down and talked to me about it. My mother didn't. But she just left me to my own devices to do my own research.
That's so funny. Here you go, darling. I received the same book, and I think even Vivian and I, my last episode, discussed it as well. It is the OG. It is the one. It was the one. But I actually enjoyed that book a lot. I
thought it was very informative. I felt like the drawings weren't infantizing us or like downplaying or making it too cartoony without being too graphic. I think it was very age appropriate. I'm really kind of opened a whole new world about my relationship with my own body.
I completely agree. I feel like I referenced that book for a long time, like well into probably even my early 20s, because I remember there were those diagrams that like showed your changing body. And I always felt like developmentally I was stuck on like the second phase. There were supposed to be like 4 phases of like breasts, for example.
Yes, oh my gosh, I was thinking about the breast one too. I was like, I want big boobies too. How come my fatty tissue isn't growing? Oh,
Literally me. Like I was like, because they kind of show in the 4th diagram, like pretty well endowed woman, young woman or something like that. And I was always like, why don't mine look like that? I'm 21 years old.
like something's not adding up to this reference guide here.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, if it's in the American Girl book, then I gotta match it. Otherwise, there's a problem.
Am I not an American Girl then?
Am I not a true American girl? That is so funny. Oh my gosh, yes. I thought that book was so helpful. I remember in particular the diagrams they had about inserting tampons because, like you said, I was thinking the same thing. Super helpful, but not overly graphic, which I was like, how did they do that? I was pretty impressed. Nice balance.
I would love to go back and look at that book to see how many women had part in creating and writing and even illustrating it, because I'm sure that has a big reasoning to do with why it wasn't so graphic.
Yeah. I'm very curious about that too. And I know they made an updated version because I was doing some research for my podcast. I am a little curious what they updated. So I might do some sleuthing into that because that book is such a formative book for so many people our age, you know. It was such a wonderful resource. And I'm sure because my mom also gave it to me. My mom didn't really talk to me about it either. I'm sure I could have asked her about it though, like my household in particular, but I didn't feel compelled to. I'm sure our mothers felt pretty relieved that there was such a age-appropriate guide that they could give their children. I'm sure that's not what they had when they were growing up.
I know. And considering that we were also like pre-internet generation too, we're all just genres of people. I thought it was a really great tool for sure.
Definitely. That's interesting. That's kind of like one of your first memories of having a period. Well, now that you know, you had that as a frame of reference. Did you receive that book before you started your period?
I received it when I was going through puberty, I think in like 5th grade, maybe towards the end of 4th grade, and then in the middle of 5th grade is when I got my first period.
Okay, so you got your period in the 5th grade. What was that like?
It was very confusing. I felt like a horror movie in some ways because I remember it was Friday the 13th because there were Jason and Freddy movies playing on TNT all day. So I was like, the scene is set.
You got your first period on Friday the 13th?
She's a witch baby.
Literally, you would, Paula.
The chosen one. I know.
That's iconic. That is iconic. Paula, I feel like I know you on such a deeper level already.
I'm an icon living.
So you.
I know.
Even your cycle's on brand.
Truly. The moon was like, there you go, my child.
That is hilarious. So you have your period. It's Friday the 13th.
I'm just mad chilling on the couch, watching some Freddy versus Jason or something. And I feel something weird, kind of squishy going on down there. I'm like, I know I'm not wetting myself because it just doesn't feel like pee. And I'm 12 years old. Like I would go to the bathroom if I had to pee. And so I look on the blanket I was covering myself in, and there was just like a giant blood splot. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I prepared for this. I read the book. So that's the kind of child I was. My mom describes me as very easy. But I remember like taking the blanket to my mom upstairs, and I was like, so this happened. And she was like, okay, so let me show you how to put a pad on your underwear. How are you feeling? Do you want anything? Do you have cramps? I was like, no, I'm kind of hungry. She's like, okay, we'll deal with that later. She showed me how to use a pad. Got that squared away. There's a funny story about the pad that I'll tell you about in a second. Got me a new blanket, got me set up on the couch again, and she's like, what do you want? And I was like, I would really love some churros from La Casita. And if you're from Colorado Springs, you know La Casita is the beautiful pink restaurant that has the best flour tortillas and the best churros. So no, my parents were divorced by then. Just kidding. She went to go get me some churros, and I just stayed posted up on the couch watching Friday the 13th until she came home.
That's so sweet of her.
Know. She was like, don't panic. We got this. You read the book. You're prepared. I'm like, yeah, I read the book. I'm prepared.
I'm a pro. I got this, Mom. I just need churros.
Exactly. But it turns out she was not a pro, because when I went to go change my pad, I don't know what my brain was thinking, and I put the sticky side up.
Oh
no! And I was like, this doesn't feel right, but I'm pretty sure, like, because I didn't see her, like, put the sticky, I don't know what my 12-year-old brain was thinking, but I was like, you just put the thing on there and the wings, whatever. And I was like, okay, like, this feels really weird. Like, I don't feel like it's supposed to be, like, sticking to me, but whatever. I'm like, this is just really uncomfortable. And then, like, of course, it's not catching anything. So I'm bleeding through my undergarments and my shorts. I'm like, something's not adding up. Let me go try this again. And I was like, oh, that's why you need to put it on the sticky side down.
That is hilarious, but it makes sense. Honestly, I could see it like childhood logic, being like, it sticks to your body and it's there now. It makes sense to me. Like, if I didn't know what I was doing, that would be something I would consider. Like, I don't know if I'd necessarily think, oh, it goes in the underwear. I'd think, like, I need to stop it. Like, I gotta lock it in.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, why I didn't think to look or pay more attention, because my mom, like, had me get, like, a new pair of underwear and then put the pad for me to, like, show me how to do it. And I just, like, ripped that bad boy off and threw it in the trash, and I was like, oh, wait, I don't know how to put this on.
Oh, man. It's so funny how, for us, obviously now it's just like old hat, like, just, it's so innate how to do all these things, but really there is such a learning curve when you're young. It's not as simple. It really takes time to, like, even learning where to put the pad, on the panties too is a big deal as well. I'm sure you've experienced, like, if you put it too far back, too far forward.
You miss some catchage there. It's just not good news.
Exactly. Oh, man. So, Friday the 13th, honestly, I'm just never going to get over that, Paula. That is absolutely perfect. It's the bloodiest day of the year, so it's fitting.
It is fitting.
Now, you got your period in the 5th grade. I would say, do you feel like that was relatively young compared to people you were around, or were a lot of your friends menstruating around that time, too?
I don't know. We did not talk about it.
Yeah.
I think growing up then, it was still very taboo and hush-hush, and there was still a lot of shame around it and embarrassment. And it was something that you had to keep out of the public eye. Like, you can't let the boys know you're on your period, that kind of mindset. And, like, I remember, like, the girls who were developing early, too, would get bullied. So I didn't want anyone to know I was on my period, or I had gotten my period early, because I didn't want to be bullied.
Yeah. That's such a shame, too, because it can be, I'm sure it was pretty isolating. Did you feel like you wish you could talk to someone, or did that not even cross your mind as an option?
I don't think it even crossed my mind. It's just, I think at that time it was like, all right, everyone goes through this and they go through it at different times, and now it's my turn and it's my journey. This is the hero's journey. We're off. We're off to becoming a woman. And I started.
Headed to Mordor. Oh, man. Yeah, 5th grade is pretty early. I know that I wasn't talking to a lot of my friends, but from my personal experience, I didn't get my period until I was in 9th grade, which is it's on the later side for sure. I think most people were getting it 6th through 8th, at least people in my circles. I was in a similar position, though. I don't know that for a fact, just because I, too, wasn't really talking about it with friends, and it really was different. I know that the early 2000s isn't that long ago, but really things have changed quite a bit. I do find that younger people are more comfortable talking about these things, which is wonderful. I really think I would have had a more pleasant experience if we were able to talk about these things more when we're younger. And even though I too felt I didn't even know it was really an option to talk about these things with other friends, I think it would have been pretty nice to have someone to talk to about these things. So now regarding school, you had mentioned, not wanting to get bullied and things. Do you have any memories from, middle school, high school about having your period at school? Was that something that was a source of stress for you in any way?
When I was in 5th grade, for sure, because I did know enough back then that I did get it early, or earlier than it was expected from most people my age. So I remember like when I was on my period or thinking that I would be on my period, I would wear like this giant like puffer jacket almost. Did not matter if it was fall, spring, summer, winter. If I thought I was going to be on my period, I had that jacket with me almost as like a protective blanket because I didn't know if I was going to leak. I didn't know if the teacher would let me go to the bathroom because I don't know if they would believe me if I said that I was on my period. My 5th grade teacher was a saint, though. I'm sure he would have, but like in my brain, I'm like, I'm too early. Like they're not going to believe me. They're going to think I want to get out of class, kind of thing. So that always caused some stress.
That is so hard. I'm sorry you went through that, Paula. Oh man, like that's such a sad thing to feel like almost invalidated. Like no one's even gonna believe me because it happened so early. Little Paula.
And it's like, I can't prove it.
Oh my gosh. Little Paula. Yeah, I'm sure 5th grade going through that and feeling like you have to hide. It's so interesting. Such a young age and you already feel a sense and pressure from society to hide it like that, and just to make sure it's tucked away.
And even just like tucking away the products too. Like if I had it in my purse, in my backpack, I had to make sure it was like hidden in a compartment. And if I went to the bathroom, it was like hidden in my pocket or up my shirt so no one would know that I was on my period.
Yeah, it's always, like having all the secret hiding places and stuff like that. And it's funny, like no one really even teaches you that. It's something you just like do innately because we're just so ingrained that this is like, it's embarrassing to even just hold it out, as it shouldn't be embarrassing, but we're so ingrained that like, I can't just walk through the hallway with a pad or a tampon. Out of fear that people will say we're like gross or something, which is so horrible because it's not gross. But that's really what keeps people very quiet and hiding it. And it's just a system that feeds itself. So it sounds like 5th grade was a little rough, when you were going through that, just having to add that to your sense of worries, not just worrying about school, but having to worry about being on your period and hiding that and keeping that hidden from others. In high school, do you have any memories of having your period at school or any of your friends going through having their period at school? Or did you feel like at that point were you like a pro by the time you hit high school?
A little bit of both. High school is when I decided to transition from pads to tampons. My mom,
tell me about that.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how it was in your household, but like in most households of color, like tampons are a no-no. I don't know if you had the same myth told to you, but if you use a tampon, it's going to break your hymen, then you're not a virgin. I don't think my mom believed that, but I think she did think I was still too young to be inserting something inside that genital. So she always preferred that I used pads for as long as possible. But all my friends always had tampons. Like no one used pads. So that was also like another factor of embarrassment because pads are comfy. But now all my friends are using tampons. And if I need something, I'm going to have to know how to use a tampon. So using tampons became something that was like a necessity just in case. And that was always so, I went back to that book in high school to like see how to insert a tampon. And like, I remember I had to buy the tampons in secret too with my own money because I didn't want my mom to know and like lecture me about it. And I wasted so many tampons trying to insert it. That applicator is no joke. And it hurts the first time that you're inserting something in there.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is talked about quite enough either. Like you're sore, it's never been stretched like that. It's not like a lot, but it's not used to
Yeah.
having a foreign object inserted in it.
100%. Yeah. Tampons are, I feel like, pretty widely accepted amongst, young adults and adults. But for when you're a young person and you're trying out new period products, it's really intimidating. And I was really, I felt really scared to try tampons the first time as well. Do you remember the first time you actually tried one? Do you remember what that was like? It sounds like you looked up all your stuff. It was painful. Did you feel like you missed your pad, or did you just kind of feel like I just got to push through it and just make it work?
I felt like I should just push through it. And I would only use my pads when I was going to sleep for bed because I just preferred having that as a support rather than have a tampon, like having to wake up in the middle of the night and change that. Like with the pad, you got your overnight pad and you're good to go. So once I became comfortable with the tampons, I did stick with them. But I still kept like backup pads everywhere.
Definitely. I had a very similar experience. Now, did you feel a sense of insecurity about wearing pads while all your friends were wearing tampons? Do you feel like there's almost a stigma amongst menstruators against wearing pads?
Yeah, it's almost like they're infantizing you because it's a giant diaper, but it was much more comfortable. It was much more manageable. Um, but yeah, I felt like, again, if I wanted to be normal and cool and fit in, I had to switch to tampons. So I did.
Yeah, I also felt the same pressure. I didn't wear tampons until college. I was really intimidated by them. I had already been sexually active at that point, and I was still intimidated by tampons just because it seemed like it seemed very finicky and complicated, and I was just nervous about it. And being a young college student, I felt like I didn't want to tell anyone that I still used pads, which is so sad because period products are period products. We already have enough pressure from society that, what happens to us every month is like disgusting and gross, which it's not. But then we're adding pressure in our own community to have a certain method of menstrual, hygiene, I suppose, and I feel that I think a lot of people who menstruate have felt that pressure to like move on from pads. But I agree. I have certain days I have certain days I use pads. I have certain days I use tampons. I have my own way of it now. Now that I do use tampons, they're super convenient and I do like them. But yeah, it was a bummer. I too felt like I kind of had to like catch up to everyone, which is ridiculous. There's nothing to catch up to. Like it's just a period product.
Which is so funny thinking back in hindsight now because of the shelter that I work with, our age range is roughly between 30 to 50 years old. And most people, when they come for menstrual products, they want pads. They don't want the tampons. So we spend like our 20s, wanting all the tampons and to hide away our period products. And then when we get older, like, nah, this is comfortable. This is what I want. So it's just been really interesting in the shelter to kind of see that dynamic and their relationship with their periods.
Yes, because I'm sure the essential is just I need something that works absolutely the best for me. And it's almost there's no room to worry about aesthetic or what other people think and just making sure that it's effective for you. And I think it says a lot about, pads are comfortable. They work. What's wrong with that, So it's definitely, for me, you kind of are validating me because I felt pretty isolated when I was in high school. I felt really insecure about the fact that I wore pads exclusively. Really, I kind of felt like a little kid because I think other people had just say negative things about pads, and it makes me almost, it's kind of like healing my inner child a little bit to hear that you too wore pads through high school because really I felt so alone in my experience. I kind of assumed, well, everyone is wearing tampons and I just like, I'm too much of a baby, like I'm too scared, I'm too this. And so thank you for sharing that because it really just kind of makes me feel a little bit better. I'm like, okay, so I wasn't the only one who like was not really feeling tampons for a while.
And I'm sure almost every person that we know who had a period during that time was also using pads at night or whenever they felt comfortable. But just when you are in a social setting, it's like, oh, nope, tampons only.
Yeah. I feel that I hope other people, especially younger people, feel more comfortable about using pads these days, just because I know for us, I remember in high schools, right when they started introducing like thinner pads that were equally as absorbent as maxi pads, because I know that there was definitely a stigma around maxi pads, but truly, I have people in my life who have really intense heavy flows. They have to use maxi pads, and it's a shame that it's like something they almost are embarrassed about, but it's just natural. So I'm hoping that these days, with alternative pads and everything, people are able to find something that makes them feel comfortable and confident in their own period. Okay, so we talked a lot about pads, and then we talked a little bit about tampons. Are tampons what you still use? Is that still your menstrual product of choice, or do you use something else?
I am in love with my Diva cup, my menstrual cup. That is my preferred method. I still use tampons on occasion. Sometimes when I'm at work, I prefer tampons because it's just in and out real quick. And I still use pads on occasion when my flow is like really heavy and I just don't want to deal with that at night. It's just so much easier, more peace of mind. So I do use all three of them for various situations, but the menstrual cup is like my day-to-day go-to.
And was there like a learning curve to that? Because I still have not tried one. I'm a little nervous. How was that for you when you were getting the hang of it?
It felt like doing a tampon all over again, like just messy. I was fumbling, it hurt. I think it took maybe 2 or 3 cycles until I finally felt like I had the hang of it and there was less soreness with the insertion. But yeah, I feel like even now there's still a learning curve to it because there are some days where I insert it and I think I'm good, and then I walk around the house for 2 minutes. I'm like, oh, there's leakage. I did not turn that in properly, and you gotta like hustle back to save your underwear from the parting sea and just get everything situated again. The girlies know we have our period underwear and our nicer underwear. Like you don't want to cross the nice underwear to the point of no return.
100%. Because we all know we give up on like day 6. We're like, it's over. I don't care if I'm spotting. It's done. Whatever happens, happens. But I have panties specifically for that day. Like, kind of hope I don't stain these, but if I do, they're done. But there's like sacred panties that you're like, this is not getting anywhere near my cycle.
But I found that bleach works really well with getting most blood stains out if you get it right away.
Bleach?
Yeah, like
I've never even tried that.
right on the, like a little cloth. What is even that little cloth part for? You know how you can like lift it up?
Yes, that's called the gusset. I know it sounds so nasty, but it's called a gusset, and it's literally meant for discharge.
Oh, great. Well, I usually
an extra layer.
That's good to know that they're thinking.
You learn something every day.
Know. I'm glad they were thinking about the discharge in all of us. But,
yes, I just kind of wish it wasn't called a gusset. There's
know.
something, I almost think gusset sounds worse than discharge
right?
in my mind. I mean, there's nothing wrong with discharge, obviously, but gusset just sounds so intense.
But yeah, if you just hold the gusset up and get like a little capful of bleach, run it under hot water, and just kind of like, the people at home who are listening can't see what I'm doing, but if you just like pour it a little bit and kind of like rub it with the hot water, I find that it takes it out almost immediately. And it doesn't bleach the underwear. Some underwear, it might, but you have to be careful. I have one pair that's like are forsaken already. I tried the bleach thing with, and it did stain it, but all my underwear that I've tried that I've had an incident with came right out.
All right, I'm going to have to try this now. Because I, for real, it's like I've been on this earth for 30 years and I've never tried bleach. So I got to give it a go. Because I've just lost so many panties to period gods, I got to give it a go. Where'd you learn that? From your mom?
No, I just...
No.
My mother is very open, but that's just not something we talk about. That came from my brain.
From your brain, of course. That's so funny.
Why not? What could happen? I have to throw these out anyway. Let me just see. Or like they're already like forsaken. If these are going to be my period underwear, then fine. Let me just try the bleach and see what happens.
That's so true. You're like, they're already done.
Yeah.
What worse thing can happen to
a bleach stain that no one's going to see that might just get covered in more blood? Oh no.
That's awesome. And so do you find do you have a lot of leaking with your Diva Cup or essentially none?
Essentially none. If I am because sometimes you can feel when it's maybe not inserted all the way right. So sometimes if I'm this is suspicious, I might put a liner just in case, especially if I'm going out somewhere. That way I can just excuse myself to the bathroom and just check to see if I'm being paranoid or if there is leakage, and I can just fix it accordingly. But typically there's none unless it gets full. But that it takes all day, at least for my flow. After the first day, it takes the entire day for it to get filled up.
That is so cool. I'm gonna have to give it a try because I feel like there's so many brands these days. There's so many people who are starting their own businesses, and there's a ton of them on the market. So I keep seeing them. I'm kind of curious, but it's a little nerve-wracking. So I'm happy to hear that you're doing so well with it. It encourages me to give it a go. Maybe it's not that scary. I love that for you. I'm glad that you found something that really works best for you, because I think, period, it's all about making ourselves as comfortable as possible, just making sure that getting through those couple days as seamless as possible. And it does take a long time to find what's right for you, so I'm really glad that that works for you.
Yeah, me too.
Now, we had an interesting experience. I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast that Paula and I had the pleasure of working in Taiwan together. Paula, you were out there for 2 years. And while we were there, we were working at the same boarding school, and Paula worked on the dorm floor. But, I wanted to talk a little bit about our experience in Taiwan because, at least from my experience working in Taiwan and with our young students, they had a different approach and attitude towards periods than what I experienced growing up in school. Did you feel the same way?
Oh, definitely. Even down to their superstitions around what they can and can't do on their cycles. Who told you this?
Yeah, not drinking cold water or eating ice cream.
Eating ice cream on your period, that's the number one thing that you do.
I remember telling some of my students that because when I was pregnant in Taiwan, I had my son out there. My students, it's similar when you're pregnant. They don't want you eating cold food or drinking cold water. And that's fine. It's the cultural norm and tradition, but it is just different compared to what we grew up with in America and Western culture. But yeah, I remember students insisting on hot water during your period, not just for a hot water bottle, but drinking hot water, drinking hot drinks, not drinking cold drinks, that it can make it worse. And it's really widely believed over there. And I'm sure there's validity to that. And I felt that, especially when I was in Taiwan, I wanted to respect, the cultural norm and the tradition. And so I know when I was pregnant, I certainly would not drink cold water or ice cream in public because I didn't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable, because it was really important to me that I was acknowledging and respecting the cultural difference and the expectation, because I was a guest in Taiwan, of course. So it was definitely interesting to hear students talk about, menstruation and pregnancy and having, the superstitions and things like that. I do remember that. I also remember, I'm curious to hear if you had a similar experience. When my students who were menstruating got their periods, they were very open about talking about it. Did you feel like that was the same when you were working on the dorm floor?
Nope, absolutely not.
Really? So how was that on the dorm floor? Did anyone talk about it, or?
Not unless they only brought it up when they were in trouble or had to say where they were. And I do believe maybe half of them. But I think about water polo all the time and how the day So our headmaster had us do water polo as the first activity. What were they? House activities. That's what they were called.
Yes.
I already blocked all of that out of my mind. Because there were 7, 8 houses?
Yeah, they were house teams. Think of Hogwarts, but if Hogwarts had 8 houses, our boarding school kind of had a similar system. And it was just a way to get the kids set up in different groups very quickly. And so we had water polo. It was the one we did twice a year. It was the necessary one. It was the big activity. No one was allowed to not attend. But yes, I do remember hearing a lot of students
would then come up to their teacher usually the female teacher, or if they were really trying to get out of it, the male teacher, and say, I can't go in the water, I'm on my period. And
Yeah.
you can't,
Yep, I remember that too.
you can't tell them too bad, you can't tell them, we'll put a tampon in. You can't say anything. You just like, all right, sit out. And without fail, my house, we only had maybe like 5 or 6 girls. Almost every single one of them, except maybe one, would say they were on their period. It's like weird that you're all cycling up together when I know you're in separate rooms and you're in separate grades, like you don't hang out. But yeah, yes. Sure, you're all psyched up. Maybe they were, but this happened on every single team without fail. Because the male teachers would come talk to us about that.
Yes, they would. Yeah, I have a similar memory. So my very first year, I was not anticipating the kids not wanting to participate. I didn't understand the school environment. The kids were not eager to do this activity ever. So I remember in my house in particular, almost all the girls said it. I think it was almost like 25 girls all said they were on their period. And they said it very matter-of-factly, like, I'm on my period, they didn't even say, like, I'm menstruating. And I remember going over to, this still bugs me, I went over to one of the male teachers on my house. I won't name names. I'll tell you later. But I said, oh yeah, like none of the girls want to play because they're all on their period. And the male teacher looked at me and gave like the most like disgusted looking face and was like, I didn't need to know that. And I remember I'm still mad about it, Paula. I'm still mad about it. Because I was like, I almost felt like bad for a second. Like, oh, I shouldn't have told him that. And I was like, no, what the heck? Like, it's just a period. Like, grow up. Like, I was like, it still bugs me. That was like 6 years ago or something. And I'm like, it's just stuck with me. Just that look of disgust at me mentioning periods to a grown man. I was really frustrated by that.
Yeah, because like you said earlier, like periods are not gross. But like men could go around announcing that they're going to take a shit and everyone just has to accept that and laugh at it. Okay, Mike, have fun taking a deuce, but like you can't tell someone that they're on their period. Like that's just ridiculous.
I know. I was really bothered by that because I was like, I shouldn't feel ashamed for saying that to you. Like, this is a thing that happens. If anything, you should chuckle because the girls are probably lying. It's not a thing to be disgusted by. It's funny that you feel that way. I had, at least in my classroom, I remember there was this one memory with one of my classes. I'll tell you the students later. And one of my students started their period and they were late after lunch. And I was like, where's this student? And then one of my male students was like, oh, she started her period, she doesn't feel well, so she's grabbing a pad. And just like hearing my male student say period and hearing my male student say pad, and there were no chuckles, like he was 100% just like saying it straight. I remember just being so taken aback by that, just because never in my entire like K through 12 experience have I ever heard a boy student or peer speak so clearly, so upfront about periods without any inkling of a chuckle or a joke or a laugh or anything. And I was like, oh, wow, that's really impressive. Or often girls would be pretty open approaching me and asking me for pads or medicine. And that's not something I experienced when I was student teaching in America. But that's interesting that you didn't have the same experience. Just because I think my students, I don't know why. I don't know, maybe it's because I taught the little ones. Maybe they felt more comfortable. Yeah. Now, before we leave, Paula, there was one thing I like to ask everyone before we go. And just reflecting on your entire period experience from the time you started in 5th grade and on the Friday the 13th eating your churros to all the way to now, Diva Cup champion pro queen. What's one thing that you want people who menstruate, who haven't gotten their periods yet, what do you want them to know?
Be loud about it. More than half the team, and we still show up and do the job better than ever. So just be loud about it. Let them know.
Let them know. I love that, Paula. That is the tea. That is the tea. I'm obsessed. That's what this podcast is all about. Like, let's stop not talking about it. You know what I mean? Like, let's just be real about it. For example, I'm on my period right now. There you go. I'm day 2 on my period. Day 2 is the worst. I hate it. I'm struggling. I'm not in a lot of pain, but I'm just so low energy. And, every day, people who menstruate, we just get up and we go to work. We don't say anything. And, it's like if we don't say something, we don't make a stink about it. And not even making a stink about it, but we're just being out there, then no wonder there's like no accommodations for people who menstruate, because we've been taught to be silent, and closed mouths don't get fed. Period. Well, Paula, it's like been such a blast to have you here today. I really appreciate you coming on here and sharing, intimate stories from your past, stories that maybe you've never told anyone before, or things that you haven't reflected on in a while. Is there anything else? Were there any other stories or memories you wanted to share that I didn't get to?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything.
Awesome. Well, Paula, I would love to have you back again if you ever want to come back, and if you remember any other stories, maybe I can have you and your sister on at the same time. You guys can kind of talk about. Say what?
Diva Cup Sisters.
The Diva Cup Sisters. Yes, I'd love to have Rena on here. That would just be an absolute blast. And thank you so much for your support in my podcast, and just your friendship is such a gift to me, Paula. It's just such a wonderful thing that we could sit down and do this together. You have no idea how much you mean to me, so thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to Talk About Your Period. Be sure to subscribe to my podcast, and if you liked what you heard, please consider leaving a kind review. If there is anyone you know who would enjoy or benefit from listening to this podcast, please spread the word. You can follow Talk About Your Period on all social media platforms, where I recap previous episodes and share information about upcoming guests. Do you have a story to share? Go to talkaboutyourperiod.com to fill out my interest form, and let's get you on the podcast. I hope this podcast inspires you to talk about your period with others. After all, it's just blood. I would like to thank my guest today, and I would also like to thank my editor, Neil Titus, for editing this episode and creating the show music. Don't forget to subscribe to Talk About Your Period on your favorite podcast streaming platform,